Just when you thought it was all over, they always come back for more. Nothing truly stays dead forever. The witching hour is upon us, and time is running out. It's a race against the clock and against the undead. This is the Venom month of horrors for Corona Fever.
An American Werewolf in London follows two Yanks called David and Jack, played by David Norton and Griffin Dunn respectively, stowing away with a truck full of Marvel fans before backpacking through this shithole country of ours, coming across a bizarre pub full of weird locals who give strange warnings. Oh, and yeah, this dude went from this to Alien 3. I hope he fired his agent.
You daft.
Before Jack is mauled to death by a wolf, David survives but is wounded and hospitalized before being visited by Jack's ghost zombie thing, who warns him that he'll change into a creature of the night. Okay, that's a vampire, but I'm just sick of saying the word werewolf.
Well, alright then, be like that.
David then falls for his nurse, Alex, played by Jenny Agutter, and the killing starts to take place before he is finally and emotionally taken care of. The idea of the film came to director John Landis, who shares my birthday by the way.
I heard that.
When he was working in Yugoslavia on Kelly's Heroes. He came across a group of gypsies who were performing rituals on a body to make sure he wouldn't rise again. Landis realised he'd be horrible at confronting the undead, and the film then began to come to fruition. He had written the first draft of the screenplay in 1969, but it was shelved for well over an entire decade. 2 years later, his debut movie Schlock was released, gaining a cult following, and Landis himself a decent name in the world of comedy before managing to land a $10 million deal with Polygram Pictures for the werewolf movie. However, it was feared that the script was too scary to be a comedy and yet at the same time too funny to be a horror. That's actually the best way to describe the movie.
That is precisely my point.
In fact, when the film was being previewed, it was advertised as being from the director of Animal House, leading viewers to believe that this was actually a comedy. Many audience members went to see it and ran out of the cinemas in horror when they saw the final film. The most famous part of the movie is the iconic Oscar-winning transformation sequence, which was done by Rick Baker, who was so impressive Michael Jackson actually hired him after this film's release, as well as John Landis, to direct his music video for Thriller.
Holy sh**.
Baker did, however, have conflicts with Landis. The director took so long to get the film going that Baker was impatient and used what he had made for the 1981 film The Howling instead. Landis finally contacted him with the money to start working on American Werewolf, but Baker was busy with his other film. At that point, John yelled at him over the phone until Rick pulled out of The Howling and returned to work on the Landis picture, but this is something that John Landis has never forgiven him for.
I will not accept this.
An American Werewolf in London was released on August 21st, 1981 to universal praise. However, Roger Ebert wasn't a fan.
I don't know what he means, sir.
An American Werewolf in London seems curiously unfinished, as if director John Landis spent all of his energy on spectacular set pieces and then didn't want to bother with things like transitions, character development, or an ending. Okay, I agree with one of those.
Shut up.
As well as its previously mentioned Academy Award victory, which by the way was the first ever Makeup Academy Award victory, the film also picked up 2 Saturn Awards for Best Horror Picture and Best Makeup, and Empire magazine ranked it as the 107th greatest movie ever made.
Yes, I would think so.
I think so too.
This film is phenomenal, it really is. Firstly, yes, the transformation scene still holds up and is truly one of the greatest special effects sequences ever put together. The scene actually took 6 10-hour days to complete, considering the sheer amount of time it took to apply and remove the makeup, and in total, only about half an hour of those 6 days was spent filming. They look tremendous, and the scene is terrifying to see him go through this pain and agony. I'm not quite sure what Ebert is smoking, because I did grow to like these characters. David was incredibly likable, and I didn't want him in pain. He was funny, he was goofy, he was very human and real. Even when he's shouting obscenities to try to get himself locked up.
Queen Elizabeth is a man! Prince Charles is a faggot! Winston Churchill was full of
There's a scene where he's bracing himself for the change and he knows his time is short-lived, so he rings up his little sister and says goodbye, expressing his love to her and their parents, and it's really emotional and heartfelt. Alex is genuinely charming. They have great chemistry together and you can tell she really cares for David. She's a treat to watch, as is the Doctor. He's a smooth talking dude who doesn't really take any crap. I mean, he visits the weirdos in the pub and he doesn't really fear anything. The scene where Jack gets killed is actually horrifying. I saw this scene at quite a young age. Please don't judge my parents.
Charming.
And it scarred me for life. It's terrifying. Ghost Jack is absolutely hilarious. Not only is the makeup amazing, but he was directed to always be really happy and optimistic, and it's just priceless.
I thought you'd be glad to see me. David, you're hurting my feelings.
It's some seriously dark humor, but I love it.
What shall I do?
Suicide.
You must take your own life.
How shall I do it?
I know where you can get a gun.
Oh, a gun would be good.
Yes, you just put the gun to your forehead and pull the trigger.
A knife. An electric shock.
A car crash?
You could throw yourself in front of a tube.
It's so f***ed up, but so funny.
No.
The werewolf looks great and the big action scenes are amazing. You don't even see the wolf until an hour in, so you really have to wait, and then it feels earned. By the way, these people, yeah, they weren't aware of what's going on and they were actually convinced that there was a real wild animal inside. When it bursts out, these were their genuine reactions. Just like this lady, she was told that a man will walk out and say something, but she had no idea that he was going to be butt naked. Great way of bringing out genuine reactions, but what didn't I like about this? Rick Mail only had one line! Okay, I never quite understood why the villagers care enough to warn them to stay on the road and avoid the moors, but yet they still forced them out of the pub at night. In fact, why even avoid the moors? Why is that going to stop him? Are werewolves afraid of roads? Sticking to the road isn't going to stop a werewolf from eating your head.
No, sir. Of course, sir.
And although I like David, it's a bit douchey to just run away from your friend who's being attacked. I mean, sure, you don't stand much of a chance, but look, he doesn't even hesitate. Just wolf attacks Jack, whoop, I'm out of here. Dick.
Would you give me a break?
And why don't the villagers just kill David? It doesn't make sense. They acknowledge werewolves are real, and yet they know he's going to become one, and they let him live. They even tell the doctor to kill him at one point. Now, some have defended this by saying that they would have a hard time covering up why they killed him, but guess what? They claim a crazy lunatic was the one who killed Jack. Yeah, a lunatic despite blatant bite and claw marks. So if they got away with that, why can't they just kill David and use that exact same excuse?
Dr. Hirsch is going to fetch around one of them embassy fellas to see him.
Chart says it's from New York.
Oh, I think he's a Jew.
What makes you say that?
I've had a look.
Nurses check out patients' dicks to see if they're circumcised.
What happened to them?
Well, the police report said they were attacked by an escaped lunatic. Must have been a very powerful man.
With very sharp teeth and claws. Yes, very powerful man.
Please, Mr. Kessler. 20 milligrams, Sagitol, IV, please. I appreciate how upset you are, but...
I appreciate how much better at acting you are.
I'm sorry if I conflict with your report, Inspector, but Jack and I were not attacked by a man.
So you've said.
You may have a point, sir. Two strong boys would be able to defend themselves against one man.
Not necessarily. I'm pretty sure Brock Lesnar could take on 6 guys at once.
No problem.
This weird, trippy dream sequence of David's is dark as hell, but just weird. What's it doing here?
Aren't you supposed to be buried someplace in New York?
Yeah. Your parents came to my funeral.
Funeral? You've only been dead a few days. What is this? Is this how you impress a girl? I mean, I know I said that he was goofy, but this is just moronic and annoying.
You've got to kill yourself, David.
Sounds like my haters.
Did you ever see The Wolf Man?
No, but I saw Cinematic Venom's review of it. It was fantastic.
Claude Rains is Lon Chaney's father, and he ends up killing him. Well, I think that a werewolf can only be killed by someone who loves him.
He's using a movie's mythology to handle his real-life situation. Oh no, they did it in The Wolfman. Let's do it here.
It's a long drive to London. Do you have anything to eat?
No, there's no food here.
There's nothing for you here, sir.
Why are they such assholes to anyone who walks in this pub? Anyone who just strolls in, they automatically hate. Why did he just leave the door wide open? 2 of them, actually. I'll tell you why. It's so he can escape as the werewolf. Literally, it's the only reason when they could have just had him break down the doors. Close the doors! You weren't raised in a barn!
It's almost full moon. You've changed. You... That's enough!
There's a full moon. Where is he?
He's at my flat.
What's the number?
I'm off at midnight.
Your number?
So now he's convinced that werewolves are real because a crazy drunk guy told him so. Oh, it must be true! This is terribly edited. I mean, the wide shot clearly shows that there's nothing behind him, and then it cuts to the wolf's point of view and it's right behind him. Ah, who cares? This shot is incredible.
Come over here. If you come over here, I'll give you £1.
Mommy!
A naked American man stole my balloons.
Well, who hasn't had that happen to them?
We will find him, however. I can assure you of that.
We'll find him. Not to worry. I promise.
What was that? Is that supposed to be a joke? Was that supposed to be funny? I don't get it.
How much is it?
£2.80, sir.
Wait, £2.80 to get in the cinema? Either London's a hell of a lot cheaper, or the 80s were. Not a single officer goes after Alex to try to protect her from the wolf. You've got f***ing guns, for crying out loud. And how the hell did they even manage to shoot the werewolf in such a narrow alleyway with Alex clearly standing in front of them? The ending is also awful. I agree with Ebert here. He gets shot, boom, closing credits. That was really the best conclusion they could come up with.
Yes.
In 1997, 16 years after the original, we got a semi-sequel, kind of. In June of 2009, Dimension Films announced that they were actually remaking the original, but it was soon delayed due to other commitments. In November of 2016, John Landis' own son was actually confirmed to direct the new version, and that's all that's been said since. An American Werewolf in London has it all. Amazing effects, terrific scares, a touching love story, thrilling horror, riveting action, side-splitting comedy. It's one of the best movies this genre has to offer.